everybody? It's Sin City here with NHL 16 playoff mode. Now the season finally wrapped up last night. We have our 16 teams that are in the playoffs. So we're just going to go through it real quick, show you exactly who is where. And let's see here. You got Dallas versus Minnesota, St. Louis versus Chicago, Anaheim, Nashville, LA, and San Jose over there in the West. It's going to be a tight conference. And over there in the East, you got Florida versus the New York Islanders, Tampa Bay and Detroit, Washington and Philly, Pittsburgh, and the New York Rangers. This is setting up to be a outstanding playoffs for the 2015-2016 season. The one thing I'm obviously, and myself and many other Canadians are not happy about is the lack thereof Canadian teams. So with all these American teams, you know what? It's still going to shape up to be an outstanding playoff. Out of all these teams, because my personal preference is obviously the Montreal Canadiens, but they are not in the playoffs this year, obviously. So with this, I would not know who to go for. I was talking to many Leaf fans. They want San Jose to win because of James Reimer, which makes sense. You know, you feel for the guy when he was playing for Toronto. But over there in the East, Washington, they have an 120-point season with Braden Holtby just leading the charge with 48 wins, tying Brodeur's record, which is outstanding. Good for him. So out of all of this, the ideal choice would be the Washington Capitals, but I like a good underdog team. And over there in the West, I'm thinking Minnesota has what it takes to win. I mean, why not? So for all these playoffs, or for all these teams, sorry, over there in the East, I have to pull for Florida. I mean, they make the playoffs once every few years, and with Yager there playing like a 20-year-old, he's still getting the points, he's still getting it done. He deserves a cup in Florida, and Florida deserves a cup. So I have to go with my underdog teams, Minnesota in the West and Florida in the East. So we're going to simulate the entire playoffs and see who your 2015-2016 Stanley Cup champion. Hold on a second. We're going to simulate, and we're going to go to round 2, and we're going to continue from there. So here we go. All right, we're back. So half the teams are gone. Let's just check out the playoff tree real quick. Look at this. So in 7 games, Minnesota beat the Dallas Stars. That's what I wanted, but they're going against the Chicago Blackhawks. That's going to be even a tougher series. Whereas the Chicago Blackhawks beat the St. Louis Blues in 6 games. You know, that's probably not too far from the truth. Nashville destroyed the Anaheim Ducks in 5 games. That's just impressive, to say the least. And then under that, you got San Jose losing 5 games to LA. Of course they would. So you got LA and Nashville in the second round as well. And over there in the East, the Islanders beat the Florida Panthers, the one team that I wanted to win in the East. So as a result, New York Islanders is going against the Tampa Bay Lightning as they defeated the Detroit Red Wings in 5 games. Then you got Washington winning against Philadelphia 4-1, and Pittsburgh losing 7 games to the New York Rangers. So you got New York Rangers versus the Washington Capitals. It's going to be an outstanding series there too. So over there, you got outstanding teams, all pretty good. You know, this is shaping up to be really good so far. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to play off to the conference finals. Here we go. And we're back. And as you can see from there, we have our final 4. You got Chicago Blackhawks versus the LA Kings. Again, another Western Conference juggernaut of a match. Then the New York Islanders versus the Washington Capitals. That's going to be an outstanding series too. So let's check out the playoff tree real quick, see exactly what happened. Chicago beating the team I picked out in the West, beating the Minnesota Wild 4-1, and the LA Kings just dominating the Nashville Predators 4-2. As a result, the LA Kings versus Chicago over there in the Western Conference Finals. And then over there in the East was a big surprise. The New York Islanders sweeping the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's unheard of. And then down there you got Washington against New York, where Washington beat the New York Blue Shirts 4-1, which is outstanding. You know, good for them, because I'm not surprised that Washington's going almost all the way this year. So, and there's your conference finals: Washington versus the New York Islanders. Now New York, they're the underdog team out of all these 4 teams, so it'd be a really big surprise to see them make it all the way to the Stanley Cup the Stanley Cup Finals, which you got to pull for them. But Ovi and the Caps, I think they deserve a cup more than anybody out of these 4. The only team in these whole finals that has never won a Stanley Cup. So, without further ado, we're gonna keep going until the Stanley Cup Finals. Here we go, and we're back. Here it is. The LA Kings versus the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup Finals. So Stat Central here. Let's take a look real quick. Playoff tree. What was that? Patrick Kane with 21 points. My goodness. So you got LA just destroying Chicago 4-2. I was expecting a game 7 out of that one. There's two amazing teams just going right at it. And then you got Washington over there in the East beating the New York Islanders 4-2 as well. So 2 game 6s. As a result, going to the LA Kings versus the Washington in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, for here, we're going to go game to game and see exactly how it plays out. So Stat Central, play next game, just into the next game. Let's take a look real quick. LA taking the first game. Who gets the second one? Washington tied it up. There you go. So 1-1. I really want the Capitals to win the series if this was a result, because I think they deserve a cup more than LA does. But that's just my personal preference. There you go. 2-2. This could go to a game 7. This is going to be a very exciting playoff run. LA has a chance to finish the series. Here we go. It's into the next game. And oh boy, game 7. So this is how we're going to do it for game 7. We're going to simulate the entire game. So let's take a look here. Who's going to be your Stanley Cup champions this year? Here we go. Oh, let's go to goals. Be a lot easier. Washington taking the first one in Washington. Let's see what happens here. Power play for the Caps. Ooh, couldn't get it done. 4 shots to 3. They got the first goal. Burakovsky got the first one on Jonathan Quick. 6 minutes left. All right. Oh, this is going to be an exciting playoff run, too. If this were the actual case, it'd be exciting. Here we go. So, 1 period done. Second period, 1-0 Washington Capitals. Here we go. 18, 17, 15. Ooh, power play. Caps can win it. 5-on-4. Come on, boys. Out of these two teams, I'm pulling for the Caps. I think they deserve it. Ovi deserves that cup. He needs that cup. There you go. Burakovsky, second goal of the game. Getting a second goal on Jonathan Quick in the second period. 18 shots. They're all equal here. Simulation pause. Here we go. So third period. 2-0 lead on the Washington Capitals. Oh, but we're not done yet. Luke Schenn, 2-1 for LA. But Niskanen saying, no, that ain't happening. So there you go. 3-1. And we're finishing up. There you go. 4-1. You know what? That's probably the series right there. Capitals beating LA in 7 games to win the Stanley Cup. 5 minutes left. Now, unless they can score goals, it's not happening. Oh, there's one. Can they do it again? Can they do it again? No, that ain't happening. 5-2. Probably empty netter for Kuznetsov. Siming is complete. So, as a result, your 2015-2016 Stanley Cup champions are the Washington Capitals. Congratulations, boys. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when the actual playoffs start.
Wait!